Ever walk into a room where it seemed like everyone already knew each other and you were the only stranger? Anyone? You see, for me, that was the first day of middle school. I never liked the first day of school. It wasn't really my favorite time of the year. I spent most of my childhood in the US. Before that, New Zealand, then Australia. My dad's job kept us on the move, so being the new kid was more of a lifestyle than a phase for me. We landed in a small town in the state of Washington. I remember arriving with that familiar mix of nervousness and anxiety. On that morning on my first day of school, I went on the bus. I found my seat. I was pressed against the window, quiet, watching, taking it all in. I looked at the other kids as they laughed and talked about their summers, living in a life that I didn't belong to yet. When we got off, it felt as if I was walking into a movie that was already playing halfway through. Kids waving to their friends, sharing inside jokes, and then there was me, just trying not to look lost on my way to first block. I wanted something to change, so then I started asking myself, how do I take my first step to connect? What am I doing when words aren't enough, or if you're not sure what words to say? So one day I went on that bus, and without thinking much of it, I pulled out something I was carrying with me that day. It wasn't anything special at the time, just a cube, a Rubik's Cube. Half solved, half messy, like a student's first week, patches of familiarity, but mostly a jumble, still figuring out how to solve. Now, little did I know that this simple cube was the bridge that I needed, the first piece of me that others noticed, and the first spark that helped me belong. See, the next couple of days, there was one person who I talked to from time to time, occasionally when I needed help with some schoolwork. He saw how cool it was that I could solve this cube, so we started to talk more. We'd end up sitting next to each other on the bus, and one day he asked me, "Hey, can you teach me?" Sometimes he would challenge me, time me. He would make bets to see how fast I could solve it from the time we got on the bus till we got to school. As we started to grow and connect more, we eventually became friends. We'd sit next to each other in class. We would even start vlogging our days at school. I know. But you see, everyone in my grade started to take notice of my unique talent. It felt good. Great to be recognized by the rest of the crowd. So, right now I want to show you a very short video of one of my vlogs with me and my friend from middle school. And I want you to pay attention and see how this simple cube turned a shy and introverted kid into a more confident and exhilarated person.
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Get Cooked, hashtag Get Cooked, and I'm here with Warrior,
Hashtag Warrior Revenge.
hashtag Warrior Revenge.
Today we're be doing a video, one day middle school. Let's see how it's going to turn out. We just got out of math and it was tiring. Tomorrow, in English, we're just getting our books from our lockers in general. Like I told you yesterday. Stop! I'm not gonna solve it. I'm solving lunch.
Yesterday?
Sorry, this guy. Like, I have this talent. I can solve a Rubik's Cube in like 30 seconds, and everyone's just coming up to me and saying, "Hey, can you solve this Rubik's Cube? Here, solve this Rubik's Cube." Like this guy right over here. See? I know.
Check
Alright,
what's up,
up,
guys?
We just came out from English, and it was very bad. I didn't like
It
English.
was like the most boring thing ever. We had a little bit of fun because
We're headed to our lockers, putting our stuff away. Then we're heading to lunch. We'll see you there.
Yeah, I was cute once. But I like watching that video, I really do. Because it invites me to ask myself, what if I didn't take out that Rubik's Cube that day on the bus? But I'm grateful that I did. You see, that moment taught me something quite powerful. Sometimes the things that you carry, maybe without realizing it, your hobbies, your passions, your quirks, isn't just for you. It's your handshake to the world. You see, 4 years later, I moved to Saudi. A brand new chapter. Again, new culture, new faces, the same old feeling of being out of place, and the same old question of, how do I begin? You see, this time what I pulled out of my toolbox wasn't a Rubik's Cube, it was a sword, a fencing sword. You see, when I first came to Riyadh, I got into fencing. It was something I wanted to try out of pure curiosity. When I walked into my first fencing practice, I didn't know anyone. Didn't even know how to hold the blade right. But I loved the sport. It was a passion for me. So I kept showing up. Saturdays, open mats, sparring with strangers, asking questions, learning from every mistake. Sooner or later, strangers became friends. Coaches became mentors, and that space became a home. What started as an individual sport turned into a community of people from different backgrounds, different stories, for the same spark, a passion. And in that moment, I found myself belonging again. As of this moment, I stand before you, a senior, making his way to university. And just like every chapter before this, I'm going to have to pull something out of my sleeve. Will it be a Rubik's Cube, a fencing sword, something else entirely? To tell you the truth, I don't know. But you see, that's the fun part. You see, what I do know is whatever it is, it doesn't have to be flashy or perfect. It just has to be mine. Because the Rubik's Cube wasn't about solving puzzles, and fencing wasn't about winning competitions. They were bridges to connect to people, to places, and to myself. Each and every one of us has something up our sleeve. It might be small, it might be hidden, but it's there. And when the walls of the world are caving in on you, when you feel overwhelmed or empty, that little thing might be the one to bring you back to who you are. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. See, when I first learned to solve the Rubik's Cube, I couldn't memorize algorithms like everyone who typically solves the Rubik's Cube does. It's the standard way of solving the puzzle. So instead, I made up stories for each move. Turns became characters, twists became actions. It was the same way of solving, it was a different way of solving the same puzzle. And I've come to realize, that's life. Sometimes the answer to a challenge isn't harder work, it's a smarter perspective. And that's something I learned from my dad. Now, he's not here with us today. In the audience, he's very much alive. But when he first came to the States, he couldn't speak English. He was away from his home, first-generation college student, carrying the weight of ambition, courage, and responsibility. Now, those weren't tools, but virtues, symbols that guided him forward. What we carry doesn't have to be physical. It can be the grit we inherited, the perspectives we've come to learn along the way, and the hope we continue to hold on to. So, when I ask you what's up your sleeve, I'm not asking about cubes or swords. I'm asking, what's the thing that you carry? Maybe without realizing it, that helps you connect, solve, and grow. Because no matter where you are, a new country, a new place, a new job, a new school, sometimes that little thing might be the one that builds the bridges between the gaps you have in your life. So, I'll leave you with this. Life, like a Rubik's Cube, might seem messy, confusing, impossible. But if you keep trying, keep turning, it always comes together in the end. Thank you.